Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy is retiring, leaving another nomination for President Trump to potentially appoint to the Supreme Court. 2 scoops, 2 Supreme Court Justice nominees. Immediately, the shrieking over the outrage of the hour started up, with Twitter activists running to their phones to express their discontent. They claim that conservatives are going to rule over America with an iron fist, especially if anything happens to Justice Ginsburg. The Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade, they say. Media Matters has apparently handed out their talking points to all of their puppets. Hyperbole is always used by social media activists when attempting to stir up people's emotions to get them to act on their behalf. People love to complain, and with it, they are useful idiots for those that wish to capitalize off of their outrage. People keep bringing up Roe v. Wade, saying the Supreme Court will overturn it, and while it's possible, it's not very likely. The only case that this would happen in is if a case went to the Supreme Court and their decision necessitated removing Roe v. Wade. Here is a short compilation of the salt mine that is Twitter right now.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.
People pretend to stand for issues to inflate their empty identity. Take, for example, our next story, featuring author of Little House on the Prairie, Laura Ingalls Wilder. Wilder was a trailblazer for aspiring authors of an earlier age. Washington Post reports as follows. Yet Harper's decision in 1953 to change people to settlers in the offending sentence did little to quell the critics in later decades, almost as if they're impossible to please, who began describing Wilder's depictions of Native Americans and some African Americans, and her storylines evoking white settlers' manifest destiny beliefs, as racist. Now, after years of complaints, the Association for Library Service to Children, a division of the American Library Association, says it voted Saturday to strip Wilder's name from the award. There is hardly anything more outrageous and phony than going back through history and judging people who are long gone and can't defend themselves and holding them to standards of the current day. After all, how would anybody like to be retroactively reviewed and reviled for standards that were not present when they were alive and making decisions? First, they came to tear down statues, and now they're coming for accomplished artists. Here we have a woman who persevered and created a career for herself in a time where it was not as easy as it is now. Instead of appreciating her as a figure for civil rights, the thing that they claim to stand for, they take issue that she portrayed America as it was. And because they don't like how America was, they take issue with her, blaming the messenger. Speaking of accomplished artists, Reddit's favorite jack-of-all-trades, master of none, Dong Lover, also known as Childish Gambino, but mostly as Dong Lover, came out with a song that was received as if it was the greatest thing to happen to entertainment. The music video even inspired some amusing reinterpretations. As it turns out, the song This Is America sounds just like a song called American Pharaoh by Jace Harley. Here's a sample.
I gotta carry him. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, this is Gorilla. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. I'm young and I'm black in America. They try to attack and embarrass us. Y'all don't want your daughters to marry us.
Dong Lover's manager, Fam Rothstein, had this to say. Sampling is the culture in hip-hop, and I honestly feel they dug in the crates for inspiration. It just so happens that crate was my record. I've always been self-sufficient and never needed to chase or copy another man, so I let it be and will continue to take it with a grain of salt. I'll let the culture decide on Mr. Glover and his career. That's not my responsibility. Glover's manager, Fam Rothstein, wrote in a now-deleted tweet that Glover was working on the song before American Pharaoh was released. He says here, "The internet is a place of no consequence. This song is 3 years old and we have Pro Tool files to prove it." Jace Harley, apparently cucked by Dong Lover, had this to say regarding the controversy. "I appreciate all of the love and support, but please don't let this controversy dilute the message me and Childish Gambino are trying to convey. We are speaking about injustices we've encountered, and he's helped to provide a platform for all of our voices to be heard. Let's not discredit him for that. The focus should be on affecting change in our communities and building equality. This is bigger than me and him and bigger than music. Let's not lose focus. That's right, everybody. Art is about the message. It's not meant to be good. This is likely why the entertainment industry has fallen so far. Popular culture is now a satirical version of itself. Next, we have alleged funny people Conan O'Brien, Stephen Colbert, and Jimmy Fallon doing a crossover bit on Colbert's show. Worst anime crossover ever. This comes off much like how authority figures come off to a kid when they would bring in all of the school into one room and talk about the dangers of smoking or something like that. They talk to us like children that they are trying to indoctrinate. We will take a short look at the clip, but I will try to keep it brief out of respect for the audience and for common decency. Dumb entertainment like this should live permanently in the bargain bin.
Hey, lowlife.
Hey, lost soul. What are you up to? Be a man.
I'll try.
See, all they have to do is have the audience applaud when the light tells them to, and then everybody at home knows that these guys are actually being funny.
We're all no talent, low life, lost souls.
Well, that's not...
Some hard truth coming from Jimmy Fallon.
How's he doing?
Not so good.
Well, guys, give him time, okay? And remember, please, be civil. If we're not careful, this thing could start to get ugly.
He says sarcastically. It should be very clear what these people are trying to tell their audience right now. Finally, we will end with a man named by the internet Talcum X, Sean King, who alleges that he is actually a black man. I'm not sure I buy it, to be honest with you. He was hired by the Young Turks, and he was so pale that they actually altered their image of him to make him appear darker. Here is Sean King's reaction to the Supreme Court decision on Trump's travel ban. Devastating news, the Supreme Court has just upheld Trump's Muslim ban, basically citing that he has the power to do such a thing. This never had anything to do with American safety. It was and is all about bigotry and Islamophobia. Shame on Trump and shame on this nation. And then we have another here. If you've ever heard me speak, you've likely heard me say that it's hard to know and discern a moment in history when you are in it. We are currently in one of the most bigoted, racist, and disturbing times in American history. Right here, right now. Clearly not 200 years ago. Respond accordingly. Alright, well that was all of the stuff I had procured for today to take a look at. But I'm going to play a video I made a couple of days ago. I think you guys might enjoy it. And I'm planning on creating an archive channel for all of these really short videos that I make. And I don't know what I'll do with them, but that way everyone can access them anytime they want. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.
Steve was a highly intelligent, highly successful person. He could have done anything he wanted to do. And he did. Everybody doesn't work at Taco Bell. There's wealthy people who do this. He's got the highest level of membership card at a lot of these hotels. They comp him, I mean, he got lots of money in comps. To have him gamble with them, they would comp him for lots, okay? A bunch of the hotels, not any hotel, but many of the hotels, he walks in and says, give me a room. They give him a room for a week. We ate in one of the best, in the Fusion restaurant. I highly recommend the Fusion restaurant. I can't think of the name, but the Fusion restaurant at the Wynn. We ate thousands of dollars of sushi, comped, and we ate thousands of dollars of sushi.